Welcome to part one of a short two-part video series on cleaning. My name is Betsy Bin, and I am the Director of the Produce Safety Alliance and Executive Director of the Institute for Food Safety at Cornell University. As we begin, it's important that you understand the goals of this video series, since it is intended to be the beginning of a process. Each operation is different, so one of the goals is to provide you with information to help you assess your operation and to help you think through how to set up an effective cleaning program. This will be an overview of key areas you should consider, including personnel that should be involved. Although not every farm is subject to the Food Safety Modernization Act's Produce Safety Rule, I do want to point out that the information is relevant to those working to be in compliance with this regulation. It is important to put cleaning within the context of a sanitation program. Cleaning is when you remove dirt and soil from surfaces. It can involve water and detergents, but can also be done using dry cleaning methods. The important point is that you cannot sanitize a dirty surface, so cleaning must come first. After a surface is clean, it can be sanitized. It's important to note that not all surfaces can be sanitized, but all surfaces can be cleaned. It is also important to know that sanitizing and disinfecting are not the same thing. Cleaning and sanitizing are done as part of a standard sanitation program. Disinfecting is done when you know you have had a contamination event, such as someone bleeding on equipment or equipment contaminated with feces. I will not go into the details of how sanitizing and disinfecting differ in terms of implementation due to the time limitations in this video, but it is important to understand that they are not the same thing. In either case, cleaning always comes first. That is what I want you to know. Now that we have defined cleaning, I want to discuss how to begin setting up your approach to cleaning. First, communication is critical, since effective cleaning will require effective communication. Understanding how surfaces get dirty will help you figure out when and how often you need to clean them. It may also help you put steps into place that make cleaning easier. This can save time and money. Less dirt on surfaces means less time to clean and less chemicals. It is also important that those involved in cleaning understand exactly what is expected of them, how to mix chemicals, what equipment needs to be disassembled, how to disassemble and reassemble equipment, tools necessary to do a good job of cleaning, what personal protective equipment or PPE needs to be worn, and how to know an effective cleaning job was done. One way to make sure you are communicating with the right people is to make a list of people who contact equipment and produce as it moves through your operation. There are other things to consider as well. What are your current practices and processes? Do you handle one commodity or many different commodities? If you are just starting and have a complex operation, you may want to begin with assessing the flow of one commodity through your operation. If you are subject to the FSMA Produce Safety Rule, it's important to know which commodities you handle are covered by the rule and which are not, as this will impact your sanitation program. Begin to identify surfaces that need to be cleaned. How often they need to be cleaned is based on the use and how dirty they are to start. The images on this slide provide different examples to highlight what I mean. The first image on the left of top iced broccoli highlight the plastic bin that should have been cleaned before use. If it is filled in the field, it may have been sitting on the ground, so it is possible it picked up some field mud. When it is moved inside the packing house, this mud may be tracked inside. Because this ice will eventually melt, that melted water will start to loosen the mud that could be on the bottom of the container. This could result in a mess in the packing house or the cooler. You may want to put practices in place in the field to prevent mud from building up on the bottom of this container, knowing that you have to clean the container after each use. The next image is of a raspberry harvest under a high tunnel. They are directly harvesting into single-use sellable containers. The high tunnel cover prevents mud from building up in the rows, and since the containers are single-use, there's no need to clean them before harvest. The last image is of a celery processing line. There are many moving parts and niches to clean. The cleaning demand on this line is significant and will require lots of time. The important point is to assess your operation. What does your operation look like? Once you've determined what needs cleaned, you need to understand attributes about those surfaces. Smooth surfaces are easier to clean, but as you can see in the top photo, they have taped a cardboard deflector onto a stainless steel surface. This tape will likely leave a sticky residue that needs to be removed. So what was once a smooth surface now has some issues. The wooden cabbage bin has a porous surface. It can be cleaned, but will take scrubbing and attention to details. The middle photo is of some newer conveyor systems that are easy to disassemble and made of smooth, non-porous, cleanable materials. The bottom right image is meant to highlight that even if your equipment is all stainless steel, it can still have niches and collection points that require significant effort to clean. As you think through your operation, which of these surfaces do you have? Perhaps you have a little of everything. Now that you understand what needs to be cleaned and attributes of those surfaces, consider your infrastructure and available tools to get the cleaning job done. If you want to wet clean, you need to have access to water and a way to manage the water. Some buildings have concrete floors with drains that allow water to be managed such that standing water does not result, as the image in the right corner points out. This is a critical point since once you use water, you want to be able to get rid of the water and make sure the area can dry. Some facilities have specialized equipment, such as the bin washer in the left bottom image. If you have a dirt floor packing house, using water may not be an option. Remember, you can dry clean. This requires cleaning in the same way, removing the dirt. You're just not using water. It is also important to consider tools. Having the right tools will make cleaning easier and more effective. It may also be important to dedicate those tools to specific areas, such as brushes used to clean toilets or the floor. You do not want tools to lead to cross-contamination. One way to make this clear is to color code tools. Black can be for the floor, while blue or yellow might be for food contact surfaces, as seen in the top left photo. Storing tools is also important. As you see in the image on the top right, storing tools so that the water runs down the handles is not a good idea. It is also not a good idea to store tools where they will not dry. Remember, bacteria can multiply if they have food, moisture, and favorable temperatures. You do not want cleaning tools to become the source of contamination, so make sure you store them so that they can dry and be ready for the next time. Do you have the infrastructure and tools to get the cleaning done? If not, you may need to invest in resources or rethink your approach to use the resources you have. Remember, time is money, so sometimes investing in the right tools can save you time and chemicals. It is also important to consider the complexity, because employees will need to be trained to do the cleaning effectively. And the easier it is to clean, the easier it is to train people to do the job properly. The last big topic area we will discuss in this first video is training. Knowing what needs to be cleaned, how and how often you are going to clean it, and the resources available to clean it are all important. But until the surface is actually cleaned, you have not achieved the goal. One way to put all these pieces into place is to develop a written standard operating procedure, or SOP. Once an SOP is developed and tested, you can use it in training. You must provide training and the necessary personal protective equipment, or PPE, for all those involved in cleaning. It is often most valuable to show people how to do the job, including how to properly wear PPE. Most importantly, communication needs to be part of this process. All of the cleaning crew should understand expectations and know how to tell if they have done a good job. They also need to know who to contact if there are any issues, like the need for different tools or questions about mixing chemicals. The FSMA Produce Safety Rule draft guidance provides a standard of visually clean. Your company may choose to use this standard or may also use tools like ATP to ensure surfaces are clean. In summary, cleaning must always come first in your sanitation program. Communication is the foundation for establishing an effective sanitation program. Understanding how surfaces get dirty is important for establishing a cleaning plan. Understanding attributes of the surface helps to determine how it needs to be cleaned. Knowing your resources, such as infrastructure and tools, will help you determine if you have what you need or if you need to invest in other resources. Training employees and providing them with the appropriate PPE will ensure cleaning is done safely and effectively. Finally, I want to talk about record keeping. Record keeping is important because it helps you know important tasks such as cleaning and training have been completed. It is also great for identifying problems before they impact the safety of the fruits and vegetables you grow and pack. If your farm or packing house is subject to the Food Safety Modernization Act's Produce Safety Rule, there are records that you are required to keep. Provision 112.30 requires documentation of required training. Documentation must include the date of training, topics covered, and the names of persons trained. Required training topics are outlined in Provision 112.22. Training records must be reviewed, dated, and signed by a supervisor or responsible party within a reasonable time after the records are made. Provision 112.140B2 requires that growers subject to the rule establish and keep a record of the date and method of cleaning and sanitizing equipment used in covered harvesting, packing, or holding activities. This record must be reviewed, dated, and signed by a supervisor or responsible party within a reasonable time after the records are made. Since it can be difficult to establish record keeping, the Produce Safety Alliance has created a document to help identify records required by the Food Safety Modernization Act's Produce Safety Rule. It is available for free download on the Produce Safety Alliance website. There are also templates to help you get started with record keeping. You should tailor them to your farm needs and update them with your farm and packing house name and address. Lastly, we'd love for you to share your feedback. Pause this video and point your cell phone camera at the QR code on the screen, or click on the hyperlink below to take a 5-question survey. I promise it's quick, it's easy, and it will help us make better videos. Thank you for your time and your feedback.